My wife disappeared after a trip with friends without warning, but when she arrived a year later she asked for forgiveness, but I didn't go for it. I was sitting in my apartment last night, March 20th, 2025, eating a microwave dinner and scrolling through my phone, when the doorbell rang. It's been a while since anyone showed up unannounced. Most of my buddies text first, and I don't exactly get random visitors. I opened the door, and there she was. My wife, Lisa. The same woman who vanished from my life a year ago without a word. She stood there, hair messy, wearing a jacket I didn't recognize, looking at me like nothing had happened. She said she wanted to talk, asked for forgiveness right there on the doorstep. I didn't say anything at first, just stared at her, feeling my chest tighten. A year ago, I'd have let her in, listened to whatever she had to say. Not anymore. I told her to leave, shut the door, and locked it. She knocked a few times, but I didn't budge. That's where it ended. Or at least, that's where it started again. Before I get into what happened last night, I need to back up. This whole mess didn't start with her showing up out of the blue. It's been a long road, years of living together, then her changing, then her disappearing. I've been alone for a while now, longer than I ever thought I'd be. Lisa and I were together for 5 years, married for 3. Things were good for a long time, or at least I thought they were. We had a routine, work, dinners at home, weekends binge-watching shows. Normal stuff. But then she met those friends of hers, and everything went sideways. That's when I started noticing her pulling away, acting like the life we had wasn't enough anymore. I should have seen it coming, but I didn't. Not until it was too late. Lisa and I had a solid thing going before everything fell apart. We met back in 2019 at a mutual friend's barbecue. She was the loud one cracking jokes, and I was the quiet guy who couldn't stop watching her. We hit it off fast. Moved in together after a year, got married 2 years after that. Life was simple. I worked as a mechanic, she did admin stuff for some office downtown. We'd come home, cook together, maybe crack open a couple beers. She liked crime documentaries, and I'd sit through them just to see her light up explaining the cases. We talked about kids once or twice, but it was always a someday thing. I figured we had time. Looking back, I can pinpoint when it started changing, about a year before she disappeared. She'd always been social, but it was different with this new crowd. She met them through a coworker, I think. A bunch of people who liked hiking, camping, all that outdoorsy stuff I never got into. She'd come home later than usual, talking about them nonstop, how funny they were, how they were planning some big trip. I didn't mind at first. She deserved friends, a life outside of me. But then I met them. Dropped by a bar one night to pick her up, and there they were, 6 or 7 of them, mostly guys, all loud and laughing. She introduced me, but I felt like an outsider. They barely looked at me. That's when I started getting a bad feeling. After Lisa started hanging out with that group, things between us got weird. She wasn't the same person anymore. She'd come home late, sometimes not until midnight, saying they'd lost track of time talking or driving around. Her phone was always buzzing, texts from them, plans being made. I'd ask who she was talking to, and she'd say, "Just the crew." Like it was no big deal. But it was a big deal to me. Most of them were guys, loud, confident types who acted like they owned the room. I'm not the jealous type, or at least I didn't think I was, but I didn't like it. I told her that straight up. I said I wasn't comfortable with her spending so much time with them, especially the guys. She didn't take it well. At first, she laughed it off, told me I was being paranoid, that they were just friends. She teased me about it, saying stuff like, "What, you think I'm running off with them?" I didn't laugh back. It wasn't funny to me. I tried to explain how it looked, her ditching our plans to hang out with them, her barely telling me where she was going. She'd roll her eyes, say I was overreacting. It turned into arguments fast. I'd raise my voice, she'd shut down or storm out. We'd go days without talking after those fights. I hated it. I loved her, still do, in some messed up way, and I didn't want to lose her over this. But it felt like I already was. Things with Lisa kept getting worse after those arguments started piling up. I couldn't shake the feeling that she was slipping away, and it ate at me every day. She'd stop telling me much about her plans, just vague stuff like going out, or meeting up with people. I'd ask who, where, when, and she'd get annoyed, say I didn't trust her. Maybe I didn't by then. I'd seen those guys she hung out with a few more times, once when I picked her up from some bonfire they'd thrown, another time when she dragged me along to a dinner with them. They weren't bad people, I guess, but they weren't my crowd. Loud, always joking about stuff I didn't get, and way too comfortable around her. One of them, Think his name was Jake, kept putting his arm around her chair like it was nothing. She didn't stop him. I sat there, feeling like an idiot, watching my wife act like I wasn't even in the room. The big fight happened about a month before she disappeared. I'd had enough by then. She came home late again, past 1 a.m., smelling like campfire smoke and beer. I was waiting up, pissed off, and I let her have it. I told her she was disrespecting me, that I didn't sign up to be some side character in her life while she ran around with these people. I said she needed to cut them off, or at least dial it back. She didn't yell back that time, she just stood there, arms crossed, staring at me like I was the problem. Then she said I was controlling, that I didn't get to tell her who she could see. I told her it wasn't about control, it was about respect. She didn't say anything after that. Just went to bed. We barely spoke for a week. A few days later, she changed her tune. Came to me one night, all soft and quiet, saying she didn't want to fight anymore. She apologized, said she'd been stressed and needed space but didn't mean to push me away. I bought it, wanted to buy it anyway. We made up, spent the night together like old times. I thought maybe we'd turned a corner. The next morning, I went to work, and she texted me she was running errands. That was it. By the time I got home, she was gone. No note, no call, nothing. Later, I found out from a mutual friend she'd left with that group for some trip to Pottles, some nowhere town hours away. She didn't tell me a damn thing about it. That was the last I heard from her for a year. When Lisa took off for Pottles with that group and didn't come back, I didn't know what to think at first. I called her phone, straight to voicemail. Texted her, no reply. I figured she'd be gone a day or two, maybe a weekend, and then she'd show up with some excuse. But days turned into weeks, and nothing. I checked with her work, they said she'd quit out of nowhere. Her sister didn't know where she was either, just that she'd mentioned some trip. I even tracked down one of her friends from that crew on social media, some guy named Matt. He said she'd been with them but left after a few days. Didn't know where she went after that. I stopped asking eventually. She was gone, and that was that. It hit me hard. I'd loved her, really loved her. We talked about buying a house, starting a family someday. I had a ring picked out in my head, even if I hadn't bought it yet. And then she just vanished. I blamed myself for a while. Maybe I'd pushed her too hard about those friends, maybe I'd been too clingy. I'd sit in our apartment, her stuff still in the closet, her coffee mug on the counter, and wonder what I could have done different. Nights were the worst. I'd lie awake, replaying every fight, every time I raised my voice. I drank too much for a couple months, stopped going out. Work was the only thing keeping me sane, fixing cars gave me something to focus on. But I got through it. Took a while, but I did. After Lisa disappeared, I had to figure out how to live again. The first few months were rough. I'd wake up expecting her to be there, then remember she wasn't. Her clothes stayed in the closet for a while. I couldn't bring myself to touch them. But eventually, I packed it all up, her shirts, her shoes, that jacket she always wore, and dropped it at a thrift store. Kept the apartment though. Didn't see the point in moving. I started small, fixed my sleep schedule, cut back on the drinking. Work helped. My boss noticed I was off for a while and didn't push me too hard, but he kept me busy. I'd spend hours under cars, focusing on engines instead of her. By 6 months in, I was doing better. Started hitting the gym, nothing crazy, just enough to feel normal. Reconnected with some old friends, guys I'd known before Lisa, who didn't ask too many questions. We'd grab beers, watch games, keep it simple. I didn't talk about her much, and they didn't pry. I even went on a couple dates, nothing serious, just coffee or dinner. Didn't feel right yet, but it was something. I wasn't over her, not completely, but I wasn't a mess anymore either. Life was quiet, steady. I'd come home, cook for myself, watch whatever was on TV. It wasn't exciting, but it was mine. A year passed like that, slow, but I was okay. Then she showed up. It was a year and a few days after Lisa disappeared that she came back, March 20th, 2025, like I said. I'd just finished eating when she rang the bell. Seeing her standing there threw me off completely. She looked different, thinner, maybe, with circles under her eyes. She had on a gray jacket I'd never seen and her hair was longer, tangled. She didn't wait for me to say anything, just started talking. Said she'd missed me, that she'd messed up, that she wanted to come home. Asked me to forgive her right there, like it was that simple. I didn't know what to feel. Part of me wanted to slam the door, part of me wanted answers. I let her in, but I didn't say much. Sat on the couch, arms crossed, while she stood there fidgeting. She launched into this story about where she'd been, Said she'd gone to Potto's with the group, but it wasn't what I thought. Told me she'd had some kind of breakdown after we fought, claimed I'd made her feel trapped, like she couldn't breathe. Said she stayed with those friends for a while, then took off on her own. Moved around, crashed on couches, worked odd jobs. She went on about how she'd been struggling with her head, that I'd caused all this pressure she couldn't handle. Said she'd spent the last year figuring herself out. And now she was better, ready to fix things. Her voice was shaky, but her eyes kept darting around, like she was testing me. Lisa kept talking, laying out this whole sob story about her year away. She said she'd been lost after leaving Potto's, claimed she'd cut off the group because they reminded her of our fights. Told me she'd bounced between towns, picking up shifts at diners or gas stations, sleeping wherever she could. Said she'd been too messed up to call me, too ashamed to come back until now. She brought up my anger, a lot, how I'd yelled during our arguments, how it made her feel small. Said it triggered some deep psychological stuff she hadn't dealt with before. She even cried a little, wiping her eyes with her sleeve, saying she'd been in therapy, trying to heal from what I'd put her through. It was a lot to take in. But the more she talked, the less it added up. She couldn't name the towns she'd been in, just said small places, and moved on. Said she'd lost her phone early on, but never got a new one until recently. Convenient. The therapy thing sounded off too, no details, just vague mentions of working on herself. I started thinking about that group, those guys she'd been so tight with. She swore it wasn't about them, but I remembered how she'd acted around them, how she ditched me without a word. This didn't feel like truth, it felt like a script. I sat there, watching her twist everything, blaming me for her running off. My gut said she was lying, and I couldn't ignore it. Lisa finished her story, standing there in my living room, waiting for me to say something. She'd painted this picture of herself as some broken soul I'd driven away, said she'd come back because she still loved me, because she wanted us to start over. Her eyes were wet, her hands clasped together like she was begging. A year ago, I might have bought it. I might have felt guilty, pulled her into a hug, told her we'd figure it out. But not now. I'd spent too long picking myself up, too long wondering what I'd done wrong, to fall for this. I didn't believe her, not the breakdown, not the therapy, not the part where she'd struggled because of me. It sounded like a load of crap, and I wasn't in the mood to play along. I stood up, told her she needed to go. She blinked, surprised, then started talking faster, said I wasn't being fair, that she'd poured her heart out. I didn't argue. Just walked to the door, opened it, and waited. She tried one last time, saying I owed her a chance after everything. I told her I didn't owe her anything, she'd left, not me. She grabbed her jacket, muttering something about me never understanding, and walked out. I locked the door behind her, heard her footsteps fade down the hall. That was it. No big fight, no closure, just her gone again. I sat back down, finished my dinner, and turned on the TV. Life's quieter without her, and I'm good with that.